Good morning. I was up bright and early this morning to do some work with clients. I'm hanging out in my friend Carrie Side's house. She's an artist in Tucson. We're doing a bunch of really fun things together for the Tucson meetups. And this is her studio. This is her art. It's so beautiful. So today is a day full of clients. I'm gonna do some Q&As a little bit later. I'm gonna take a bit of a break, have some matcha, and today's gonna be an ultra productive day. The boys are off at the YMCA swimming today, and I miss them, and I also really love having these opportunities to be laser focused on productivity and working with clients and creating awesome events for the community. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's time to go back to work. Just finished up with my client, and now I have a couple minutes. I'm gonna hop over to the YouTube comments and answer a couple questions. So the first question is from Sarah, who says, I want to feel happier in my life. What's the first thing I should do? Sarah, I want you to feel happier in your life too. I think the first step is to figure out what your core values are. So often I find that when there's a gap between your core values, like the values of your heart, your soul, your true values, and then the values that you're living in the world, in that gap, that's where a lot of like unhappiness can live, and anxiety and depression and fear and all of those things, self-doubt, insecurity, feeling not good enough. But when you close that gap between what your core values are and your present values, which are the ways in which you're living your life, then that gap closes up and it makes you less vulnerable to feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. So if you head over to Google, just put Gemma Stone, core values and present values in the search bar there, you can find a worksheet that I did up on understanding what your core values are, understanding what your present values are, and the gap between the two of those, and also what to do about that. I'll also include it in the comments below in the resource section if you just want a direct link, so you can check that out. Next question. My fear of failure stops me from going after my dreams. It's not really a question, it's a statement, but I can riff on the statement because it's true. Failure can be paralyzing, but the reality is failure is going to happen. Either you're going to fail because you're going to go after your dreams and it's not going to work out the way you expect it to, or you're going to fail because you'll sit on the side and watch your life go by. Either way, it's going to happen. And I know it stings. I know rejection, criticism, failure, regret, all of that stuff hurts and can even be wounding. But let those scars show. Let your failure be a sign of your humanity rather than a sign of your worth as a human. So my advice is spend your precious energy going after what you love. Make the call, say yes, say no, sign the papers, dive in, whatever it takes to go after what you love, because you're going to fail no matter what. You can't avoid that. So you might as well funnel all of your energy into pursuing what lights you up and what you most love, learning from the failures, integrating the lessons, and continuing to move forward with your life, fully alive, fully human, messy, and imperfect. I have time for one more question before I head back to work. This question is coming from the YouTube comments, and the question is, how do I get away from feeling not good enough? Yeah, that feeling of not being good enough, it's insidious. It just like works its way into our thoughts and our feelings and influences our actions and our lives, and it's like really toxic. So, fantastic question. My answer is opt out, obviously, of those messages that tell you that you're not good enough, not pretty enough, not skinny enough, not rich enough, not young enough, not anything enough. So opt out. But I think a more complex answer to that is to be conscious of where the message is coming from. So it's easy to say, like, just don't listen to it. But I think what's even more useful is to figure out, where is this coming from, to like root out the source of it. So ask yourself the question of like, who does this sound like? Where did I hear this? When did I hear this? Whose voice is this? Where is this message coming from? Like really kind of like dig into the root of where those feelings of not enoughness are coming from, and then do whatever you need to do to purge that. So sometimes that means healing the past. Sometimes that means going into some of those early childhood messages and digging them out and adding some love into them. Sometimes it means like not watching your favorite TV show anymore, or having a really tough conversation with a friend. So wherever the source of it is, I think it's really important to get to the root of that, because if you're just dealing with the surface layer, you can deal with it in that moment, but then like 5 moments later, it might come back up again. So I do think it's really helpful to get to the root of the issue. And then in a kind of like a more macro level is like, just don't try to be who other people expect you to be, because you will never win that race. You will never be good enough if that's the metric that you're measuring yourself by. So be who you are. Align with your core values. Opt out of those fear-based lies that tell you that you're not good enough, and take a stand for your inherent worthiness. One of the ways I keep my energy up during the day when I'm working these really long days is with more matcha. So I'm taking a little break, walking around, stretching my body. Also doing some deep diaphragmatic breathing. I find really helps kind of like reset my nervous system and keep my brain engaged. And sometimes a little dark chocolate helps too. So the day is done and it is a lot later than I expected, and I am ready for bed. Good night.